Hey everyone, it's Stefan from Lush and Salty Aquariums. Gonna do a fish tour of two or three of my tanks, alright? Starting with this beauty because one of my prize platinum bettas is out and about and enjoying his domain with zero hostility from these lovely lamb chop rasboras. I've been really thinking about doing a post on the mythology that bettas and other fish are notoriously feisty towards one another. That has not been my experience. I find if you have good plant growth, good water conditions, and you feed live food among other foods, a variety, you just simply won't have the problems that you hear about. Look, these two fish they're literally in together and there's absolute indifference. Look at how pretty that betta is. He's looking for little pods that in shrimp, seed shrimp and what have you, that are in this carpet of Monte Carlo, which definitely needs a haircut. That's hard to do in this tank. This is the fluval edge. It's a gorgeous, stylish tank, but with that sealed glass top, it makes plant trimming a real chore. I gotta contort myself to get in there. So that's tank number one, the fluval 7-gallon, and I hope you enjoy it. Now let's drift right over here. I'm gonna take this makeshift lid, which I created from the container store to do two things: prevent jumping as well as diminish the amount of evaporation. So this tank is smaller than the other one. It's about 5 gallons. It has tons of fish, two species. I have the emerald green rasbora or kubutai rasbora in there. And that school used to be as docile as those lamb chop rasboras, but then I decided to add some endlers, like him and him, and immediately it brought out all the activity that you want in an aquarium where the fish just swim madly about. And then you see a bunch of baby endlers up here. I feed some of those to my saltwater fish. It's just what I do. It's great food, and I can't sustain that many guppies in a tank like this. But Mama here, she keeps having them, and they keep doing it. But like I said, this plant growth and all these hidey holes make it, in my opinion, totally doable to overstock. That's been my experience. And that includes topwater plants, which give the fish some security. It includes plants that come out of the water. I don't really have that here. I have some air plants, but I do the roots that come in and out and create an additional cover. Let's move to the third tank, which needs a glass cleaning because the water is crystal clear, but I can see the glass is not. The featured fish in here are the reclusive but super sexy, maybe my favorite nano fish, the celestial pearl danio. I've said, and others say, for obvious reasons, they look like little brook trout. The males have those orange U's on their fins. They all do, but the males more so. But it's the plant growth here. So things like shrimp and snails and quite a few of them get along fine, make babies, and do well. In a lot of my tanks, I keep toward the rear some kind of moss for baby shrimp, and just because I also like to keep colonies of moss going so I can pull from that to use in my other tanks. This tank, they all have little hang-on backs and simple nano lights. I can tell you more about those if you're interested, just ask. In mostly all my tanks, I keep a school of these pygmy rasboras, pygmy cory cats. which means I can have a Cory catfish in a super small tank. You see, they're happy. They're playing with this Amano shrimp. They're part of my cleanup crew. They're also just an exciting fish to keep. My favorite plants right here, the Japanese clover. It grows like a weed. I never have to buy it again. I just pull a piece and stick it in the ground or let it float. And then Anubias petite, once it gets going, it forms a totally awesome lush cluster like this one. And you see I have 0 algae. And I don't have CO2 in this tank, but I do my water changes, I take good care, and I have lots of plants. More plants beget less algae, and they also allow you to overstock. That's been my experience, and I hope the proof is in the pudding. Okay, folks, always keep your hands in the tank.